Alright guys, another project, my 69 Lincoln Mark III. Today I'm working on the passenger side window motor, and I'll show you what's involved with that and the problems that I've run into. Alright guys, this is the inside of the door of my Mark III. Already pulled the armrest off and the door panel off. This is what the motor looks like after I pulled it out. There's just 3 bolts that hold it on. For Fords, it's kind of a pain in the neck to pull it out because there's no real access to those 3 bolts. So your 2 options are to take off the bolts for the whole assembly and pull the whole window and assembly out, or you could do what I did and drill the holes where the bolts are. Finding where the bolts are is kind of a pain in the neck, but I was lucky because I had another door mechanism that was already pulled out of a car, and then I just traced it on a piece of paper to find where the holes went. This is my new window motor. I got this from Parts Geek. For the most part, it looks pretty dead on the same. The only issue is, well, there's 2 issues. It came with this connector. This connector is not used in any old Ford that I'm aware of. So what I did was I went and cut the old connector off. Let's see if I can find it for you guys. Cut the old connector off, and then I soldered it in place on the new wire. This is what the old one looked like, almost like a trailer plug wiring. And then I just soldered it and shrink wrapped and attached it to the new wiring for the new motor. That way it just connects right in and it'll work no problem. Another issue, and I'm not sure if it's on all window motors that you buy aftermarket, but these ones I got from Parts Geek, it's kind of a pain in the neck because normally the old one has the threads in there because this goes behind the armature, then the 3 bolts mounted on. So these are threaded, but for the Parts Geek one, they're not threaded. You can kind of see in here, I already started threading it. Let's see if I can get this to focus. I've already started threading it. I'm just using my O'Reilly tap and die set, and I'm just gonna thread new holes. I'm using a 1/4 inch National Course thread, and I think that'll do the trick. Alright guys, I wanted to show you some pretty important things to remember when you're tapping new threads. So when you start tapping, it's going to get tight, and then basically what you want to do is just keep backing it off and just work up to the point where it gets tight. Maybe go a little bit more and then back it off again, right? You always want to use a cutting oil. I just use a WD-40. It works fine. But you just start on the outside, make sure it's perpendicular to the plane that you're tapping, and then what you do is just keep working it in there. Back it out. Get it tight. You go and use more oil. And also, it's pretty important as far as the quality of your threads. If you pull out your tool pretty often after you made a little bit of progress, and you'll see that there's a bunch of junk that accumulates on the tap, if this thing will focus. Anyway, so what I do is I just get some parts cleaner every once in a while, and I'll just clean it off. And when you take that metal off of your tool, that allows for the new threads to be really clean and not looking all boogered up. The better the quality of your threads, the longer and less likely that this thing is going to have issues in the future, because I'm going to put this thing in there and I want to leave it there. Okay, I got the motor back in. I finished tapping those threads. I just used those 1/4 inch bolts to put them back in. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just plug in my armrest and verify that this is working as it should. Alright, with that plugged in, let's take a look. Let's see if we can get this thing focus. All right. Oh yeah, look at that. Going up, it's a little bit slow, but the car's not running. When the car's not running, it's just operating off of 12.6 volts. When the car is running, it should be anywhere from 13.5 to 14.5 volts. So keep that in mind. Don't be discouraged if you just install the motor and it works a little bit slow. All right, that is definitely a whole lot better than it was. All right, the last thing I wanted to let you guys know before I just wrap this up is usually what causes these motors to go out is too much friction for the seals up against the window. These seals get dry, they get sticky, they get warped. These are just the wipers that wipe the glass and also insulate from water from being in the inside. To make your motor last longer, usually what I do is maybe like once a month or maybe once every 2 months, just spray some silicone spray. Silicone spray is a lubricant, but also when it dries, it dries smooth to where it allows it to slide up and down smooth, and it really just keeps your window wipes in good condition for a really long time, and it decreases the friction for the motor. So I hope this was somewhat helpful. I apologize for the shitty video. I'm using an iPhone 6s Plus, and this thing is long overdue for an upgrade. Anyway, thank you.